Sir, we'll be present. So today's subtopic. Okay, one group has already presented why stable aircrafts are difficult to maneuver. So stability and maneuverability go. It's like two seesaw sort of. So if one thing is highly stable, then you will have difficulty in maneuvering. So our focus is on static stability. So we are not covering any dynamics or rate part per se. Only the angle of attacks. Okay, so yeah. So our topic is on static stability. So we'll discuss what is stability, what is maneuverability, then what are in a stable craft, what are the moments that are generated, and with respect to how the effort the pilot has to apply to change a configuration. Then that effort, so how the elevator has to be, how much elevator deflection you need to change any configuration or maneuver to do maneuver, and then how that translates to human effort, and then some scenarios where stability becomes a barrier for maneuverability, and finally with the case studies for some of the compact aircrafts, so what they do. So first Bhavika will be presenting on the stability and maneuverability part.
Thank you. So I think static stability has been taken a lot of time. So I'll just quickly reiterate. Static stability refers to the initial tendency of an aircraft to return back to its equilibrium position. So there are three types of static stability. First is longitudinal stability. Longitudinal stability refers if the aircraft is stable, it will produce a nose down restoring pitching movement. That is, the stability criteria refers to dCm by d alpha should be less than 0. That is, the slope is negative because as the angle of attack increases, the horizontal tail should produce a restoring pitch down, nose down pitching moment. Then comes the lateral stability. A stable aircraft must produce a restoring roll moment, that is, the dCl by d beta should be less than 0. Here the phi angle refers to the angle of roll, and the dihedral angles contributes to the lateral stability. Then comes the directional stability. Directional stability is referred when an aircraft is able to produce a restoring yawing moment, that is the dCn by d beta should be greater than 0, and the vertical stabilizer or the rudder contributes to the directional stability. So these three static stability strongly contributes to the maneuverability of the aircraft. So here are the some points listed down below which contributes to the maneuverability, such as for longitudinal stability, ensures that the climb is smooth and the descent is also smooth. For lateral stability, it helps in turbulences and disturbances. In directional stability, it helps in coordinated turns and crosswind landing. Now I would request Surbhi to take.
So first of all, we can see this figure. So here the colored ones are the control surfaces which we have in an aircraft. So we have ailerons, we have elevators, we have rudders. Sometimes they would be combined, and we would have elevons or okay. So different surfaces, and these are the so in the surfaces there are flaps, slats. So so for elevator, if we see positive, so all these are the positive is defined such that the moment is positive. So pitching moment, pitch up is positive, so down is positive for elevator. Rudder yawing right is positive, so rudder the deflection leftward is positive. And same for aileron. For CL positive, we have sign convention for aileron defined. So, and now if we draw along the longitudinal axis, so this is a wing and this is our tail, and we'll have some incidence angle for the airfoil wing, for the wing, and we'll have angle of attack which is defined here. Now for tail, when we see the incidence, there is an incidence angle, then we have angle of attack, and then there would be a downwash effect from the wing, as well as yeah. So since we are deploying elevator, we'll have that deflection. So when we write the first, we'll write the moment equation, and if we non-dimensionalize, we'll get okay, yeah, we'll get coefficient. So a moment coefficient as aerodynamic center due to wing, and then we have the so Cm naught and then Cl into x aerodynamic center where lift is acting for wing minus Cg about divided by mean point. So this is the static margin, and then eta is the tail efficiency. This is the volume factor, and then this is the CL factor for tail. Now Cm we can write as Cm naught, so this is similar, and then Cm, this whole thing can be written as Cm alpha into alpha. So this Cl can be written as Cl alpha into alpha. Cl alpha into this would be Cm alpha into alpha, plus this whole term can be written as dou Cm Cm delta E into delta E. Now, when we want to maneuver, so if you want to change angle of attack and go to another trim alpha, we have to ensure that the total moment becomes constant. So that is a new stable configuration. So while if you want to go to from one configuration or one angle of attack, if you want to go to another angle of attack, you want that the total moment should be zero finally. If you want to settle there, so if you want that to happen, the left hand side has to be zero, through which you will get what is the elevator requirement which you have. So that is delta E. So delta E is Cm naught plus Cm alpha into alpha divided by delta Cm into delta E. So derivative of dou Cm by dou delta E. Or if we take the derivative with respect to alpha, we get that the per change of angle of attack, what is the elevator deflection required, and this equal to had to be here. Okay, so the deflection required will be proportional to Cm alpha by Cm delta E. And similarly, if we see for yaw or roll, so for yaw we will have rudder deflection, so that will also become as Cn beta by Cn delta R. R is for rudder, and for ailerons also similarly. So what we see is, if for each per degree angle of attack change, if you're highly stable, so as in shown in the last slide, if you have a very high slope of Cm alpha, so Cm versus alpha, very high slope of Cm versus alpha, that means you will have to give more elevator deflection to counteract the restoring moment, because you are highly stable. So okay, this is just to tell what is CLT. So Cm delta is just yeah, so this is okay, yeah. So you will have to give high elevator deflection to counteract that moment, because you have a high restoring moment if you want to perturb from your original condition, and this high restoring delta E, high elevator deflection, will further, if you see that elevator deflection will be given through our control surface, like you'll pull up or yeah, so lever, you'll pull up the lever, or through any hydraulic mechanism. So this delta E will directly affect the delta S, which is the effort which the pilot has to put. So because pilot will apply this force. So if the aircraft is highly stable, what what that means is the requirement of the elevator deflection will be high. So if your control surface will have a limitation on the delta E, and if you want to maneuver, if it is highly stable, the lot of that deflection will go into counteracting the restoring moment, and you will not get the delta E, like you will not get much margin further to make help in maneuverability. So if you want to have a higher maneuver margin, you would need a lower delta E for a nominal trim for nominal opposition of restoring moment. Then if you have larger delta E, that means for a smaller alpha change, if you have larger delta E, that means the aircraft is sort of resisting the pilot's command. So pilot has to give a higher force. And then further, if you have a higher delta E, you'll have more hinge moment. Yeah, okay, so both points are same. Okay, so overall this slide, what it tells is, if you are highly stable, which is given by these factors, Cn beta, Cl beta, and Cm alpha, you would need higher elevation deflection, or rather you will need higher control surface deflection, which will take out your margin from the maneuverability part. So now Harika will tell about control stick movement.
Thank you, Sergey. So now I'll explain about control stick movement. Control stick movement is actually a torque experienced by pilot through the control stick, which through which we control systems like elevator and everything. So due to the like if the system, like if the aircraft is stable, statically stable, then the aerodynamics forces to restore to the to restore the movement of the aircraft will be high. So for the aircraft to maneuver easily, to control the control stick, uh, he experiences more resistance to move. So which can be so stable aircrafts have more resistance to control the control systems. So like if we consider elevators, if the control stick, if the pilot pulls up the control stick, the elevator deflects upwards, and the airflow, due to the airflow, aerodynamic forces applied on the elevators try to restore it back to the trim position. So pilot experiences resistance to the stick, which can um, stick force is experienced due to the hinge moment due to the aerodynamic forces on the control systems, which can be on elevator due to elevator deflection, which can be happen due to the angle of attack. Like if we change the angle of attack, it will change the elevator, like it affects the elevator deflection as shown in the previous slide told by Surbi. So that will generate hinge moment, which results in stick moment, which is equal to k times hinge moment. There is a formula of fs is equal to kh, where k is actually dependent on the control system gearings. And so due to high stability, static stability, the pilot experiences more resistance. So and the more effect on that would be explained by Bhavika. No, sorry, Bhagesh.
Good afternoon, everyone. So, lots of mathematical slides. Let us look at the pilot's view. So, first, let us have a look at the cockpit. I've only indicated the controls which the pilot uses to control to deflect the control surfaces. So, these two, these are basically control yokes which controls the aileron and elevator, and these are the rudder pedals which is at floor level. This controls the rudder deflection. So, for an aircraft in flight, we know that when airflow is going over the control surfaces, it naturally faces an aerodynamic resistance, due to which there is it is slightly difficult for pilot to control the to deflect the control surfaces due to the airflow. And then there is the hinge moment, which was previously explained by my teammate. Hinge moment is basically the moment experienced by the control surface, like moment about the control surface pivot, which is directly connected to the control system which the pilot uses. So the hinge moment is also directly translated to the pilot. And then there is the stick force gradient, which is just now explained by Harika. That is the rate of change of control stick force with the load factor. So basically, higher the stick force gradient, the pilot has to put more effort uh, to control the control stick. And then there is control stiffening. This phenomena is basically it happens at high speed flow when the dynamic pressure increases. So it is varying proportionally to v square. So this, at high dynamic pressure, it sometimes blocks the control surfaces to move. So there also pilot has to put a lot of effort to control to deflect the surfaces. And then we know that for a statically stable aircraft, generally its tendency will be to come back to its equilibrium position. So because of that, the pilot has to put a lot of effort, and it ultimately can lead to workload and fatigue. So this is how human effort generally contributes to the maneuverability of a statically stable aircraft. So next there will be some mission scenarios which will be explained by Pragya.
So I will discuss a few scenarios where stability is a barrier to maneuverability. Uh, First is the pitching, where the pilot tries to overcome the static stability. So the argument is stable aircraft is stiff. So to initiate the maneuver, the pilot must break the momentum of the plane. Uh, so the physics is because CG is forward to the neutral point, the plane has a massive longitudinal spring, like over here. Then the problem is the pilot often hits the stick force limit, which is higher than the aerodynamic limit of the wing. So the plane could turn tighter, but it is not strong enough to hold the restoring moment, hold against the restoring moment. Uh, the second thing is circle fight, in which when a plane tries to turn 360 degrees, with every degree turn, the elevator must stay so the trim drag increases when with each degree. So that is the problem. Uh, degree turn. Okay, this is it. Over here. So whenever the pilot tries to turn the plane, the drag also increases with every turn. This is it. Now I will hand over to Maiko.
Okay, so I'll be talking about some real life aircrafts from World War II. So, well, World War II involved the creation of many different aircraft. So, back then, most of the aircrafts used to be, have had positive static stability because you didn't have fly by wire back then. So these are three famous aircrafts, let's say. So first is the P-51 Mustang, which is very famous from the U.S. Air Force. So this used to have very high positive static stability, which used to limit its turn rate. But the thing is, it used to fly. It had to fly long range missions in the World War II. So the engineers added an extra fuel tanks behind the pilot's seat, which shifted the CG rearwards. So sometimes the stability would reduce or sometimes become negative also. So that has resulted in some anecdotes by some pilots from the World War II. But then again, when the fuel is exhausted, it becomes positively stable again. Then and second is the Bf 109, and this is the German plane from the Nazi Germany. So again, this also has positive static stability, very similar to the Mustang, and it also has a similar turn rate. And it has been known to be very hard to maneuver or hard to control in very high speed. So basically, whenever the dogfights used to happen, the US pilots had this trick to get these people into a nose dive or a high speed dive so that they won't be able to maneuver and come out of that dive, and they'll crash. So that's the BF-109, and we had the F-4U Corsair again from the USA. It was used in the aircraft carriers in the US Navy again. So this had normal positive longitudinal static stability, but in the roll motion it was very stiff because of its unique wing design. It had a very high dihedral. Because of dihedral, it had a very high roll stiffness. So while rolling, the pilot had to make a huge effort in to the stick to roll the aircraft. So yeah, so these are the few. There are, of course, there are many more aircrafts which have problems of their own and advantages of their own. So, but these are the three which I thought of putting it in the presentation. So yeah, thank you. Yeah, yeah.
Can we go to Bhavika slides? Okay. I just want to understand if you can argue out why CN beta alone is positive, whereas CL beta and CM alpha have to be negative.
साइन पूछ रहा है इसका
Physical argument. Anybody else can help. Yeah.
Our like we are seeing from top. We are seeing from top. So beta positive is from the right side. So we want that if there is a beta generated, we want to again align the vehicle. So you want a moment like this, so which is positive. So we want that Cn beta should be greater than 0. LM and Cn beta should be greater than 0. But for yaw if we see, roll if we see, say it is going inside, x is also inside, and if we have a beta, so we have a beta meaning there is a velocity this side, in the right side. So we want that beta to again, if we roll positively,
Can use the aircraft.
yeah. Yeah. So if beta is this side, and this is the positive x-axis, roll axis. Now when beta is positive, if we roll positively, we'll have a lift component this side, which will again increase beta. So what we want is actually lift should be this side, so that whatever velocity there was an increment, velocity, that's why there was beta. So that velocity gets killed. So we want beta to be 0. So that's why the CL beta is positive, and negative, because positive is this side. CL beta is negative, but Cn beta is positive because we want to align to.
Want to add? Anybody else?
Quantitatively, we can say that for pitching and rolling, we want to move away, we want to move towards the original position. But for yawing, we move towards the disturbance. See, there is a gust coming from the right hand side.
So because it's an indirect effect you're talking
Yeah.
about. See, you're talking about moment in one direction and the angle in a different direction. Whereas the other two cases, it's the same direction. So your pitch and your pitching moment is the same direction. Whereas here it is in two. See, both are beta, by the way.
If
So only one case it is the same direction the moment. The other case it is not. So which is why the qualitative difference also is coming in terms of the sign. I will explain.
okay, yeah. So the
You
same
wanted
thing.
to add something?
Yeah, like positive. No, that only. Like positive pitching moment increases alpha, so you want negative.
Right.
Positive yawing moment decreases beta, so you want a positive one only. But rolling also again it is like positive if you are going, it will
Correct,
increase
right.
beta, so
True.
you want negative.
True.
That's all.
Okay, that's all I had. Manjapa, do you have any questions?
If there is nobody else, I just want to tell to operational do you know there is something called as, I mean, it's just for the class, no questions, relax. In our older aircraft, we used to have stick beaters. If you pull high angle of attack, you used to have a beater which will hit your hand so hard that you will reduce the angle of attack. They were called stick beaters. So if you cross stall angle, you will have stick beater. Second thing is, there is one aircraft called Super Dimona that gives you a whistling noise. The moment your angle of attack is beyond stall, it used to whistle. Ooh, that you will hear. So that is one thing. And second thing about maneuverability and controllability is that you have some positions in an aircraft where you can't maneuver beyond a point, so control gets locked. So that is also one operational thing that I just wanted to bring about. That's all, nothing else.
Maiko, in your last slide, before the thank you slide. Yeah, can you explain the Corsair concept a little more? The last column, can you just explain
Corsair.
that? Once again, I couldn't follow exactly what you were trying to tell me there.
Sir, so in the Corsair it has this kind of wing, right? So it has a good dihedral angle, positive dihedral. So while rolling, it has a very high stiffness while rolling.
Okay.
From the aerodynamics itself. So the stick efforts is very high to roll it. That was the main thing that this aircraft.
Follow up on that, you mentioned something interesting about the P50 on Mustang. They were the nose dive whenever they used to carry. I couldn't follow that.
So basically, see, both the aircraft faced each other during World War II over Germany. Okay, so
First and second.
both of them faced each other during World War II. So the pilots of this aircraft knew that get these pilots to do a nosedive like this. So velocity will increase. They won't be the controls will become hard. They won't be able to pull out.
General aircraft won't be able to pull up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, one thing I forgot to say it because see, initially it was also okay, but they had upgraded the guns and armaments and all. So that also moved the CG outwards, forwards. That's also made it difficult to then maneuver later on.
I think it was one more famous aircraft, Spitfire.
Yeah.
So yeah, that has some interesting characteristics as well. Elliptical platform. And
Yeah. But again,
stall.
yeah, but then maneuverability wise, it was very good now, so I didn't think of putting it.
Like which
Ah.
have high stable.
Yeah.
Our focus is like when stability becomes a problem for maneuver.
In fact, you said it is, you have already written it.
Yeah, actually I've written it.
No. The parts here.
Uh-huh.
You have written already the way in which the wing is turned.
Uh-huh.
It is called gull wing.
Yeah.
So you had difficulty in expressing wing is like this.
Yeah.
You have written it.
Yeah,
It's
the
called
gull
gull
wing.
wing.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.